Orientation is actually intended for any new Aria users, potential Aria clients who are planning to start or to convert to use Aria, and we encourage as well the existing Aria users who are familiar with the system but might need to know some additional features or functions that may not be used currently, or they may not be aware of it as of now. So this is the prerequisites of attending this class. It's basically anyone who has computer knowledge or familiar with Windows application, plus planning or using Aria currently would be applicable to attend this session. So at the end of this course, the user will be able to navigate through Aria XP menus. The user will be able to customize a special menu, which we call it the favorites, to add his own menu items. He will be able to use the standard Aria toolbar in any screens or forms. And finally, the user will be able to use the standard Aria reports functionality using the toolbar. Alright, so I'm gonna move to the next slide, and also there will be a live presentation on the application interface itself. So as far as the navigation part, once you logged into the Aria XP, you will notice under the My Aria control panel, there will be the following main menu links. There will be My Tasks, Transactions, Output, Master Data, and Setups. These are the main menu options available once you sign in under the Aria XP option. I'm gonna talk about My Tasks later. It's a utility function that is not part of the main menu. However, I'm gonna give some notes about the transaction menu, output, and master data. So transaction menu is actually splitted by module or by functional area into another submenus. So you will notice here under the transaction there is a group or a submenu. We call it an Aria submenu for each module, like accounts payable, accounts receivable, general ledger, inventory control, sales order, etc. Transactions menu, usually to make it easy for you to memorize what it does or what options you can find within. It's normally any day-to-day transaction that the user will be entering. So if you are entering a new sales order, that's the place to go. You need to go to transaction, sales order. If you want to issue an invoice, so you need to go the same way. You need to go to transaction and search for that under the accounts receivable. So in general, just to make it easier for you to know or to memorize what each menu is doing, transaction is any day-to-day transaction based on the functional area or the module. So output is the same way. It's categorized or it's organized by submenus by each module, and the output menu is to look for any report or form. So if you are looking to print a report, whatever the report is, so that's where to go. That's where you want to go. You want to go to output menu and look for the relevant menu item or the relevant module functionality. Okay. So now what I'm going to discuss is the next slide. Actually, before we do that, before we discuss the favorites, I want you to be aware of the different icons on the main menu and what do they mean. If you noticed, the icon that looks like a folder, like this icon, a folder and a pencil, this is a sub-menu. So it has another menu items underneath. So this is comparing with the other end or the other regular menu items like this icon. These are actually a final menu item where when you click on them, it will open up a form or a screen. So this is just a hint for you to memorize or to know the difference between the sub-menu icons like this one and the final menu items that opens up a screen like the customer screen, the style screen, and so on and so forth. All right, so far we discussed the transaction main menu, the output main menu, and finally the master data main menu. The master data will include or will contain the records that you usually would like to maintain, like static data, like the style master, the customer master, the warehouse location master, and so on and so forth. Of course, there might be some advanced icons that it's not in the scope of this session. Again, this session is just to familiarize everyone with how to navigate and what the main purpose or what's the main functionality of each of the main menu options. Finally, before we go further to the next section of that discussion, the setup menu will include some of the parameters that's usually set up as a one-time. So it's a one-time setup, like usually the consultant or when we prepare the system for you as a new company, we take care of these parameters. So normally the end users do not need to go to that part, but just to let you know, things like the item master code structure, it's done from here. And again, this is a one-time setup, so no need to worry about it. Maybe the option that the end user may be using in the future, especially for the AR staff, for the accounts receivable, is the customer statement message. And here, the way how this works, that you can add your own custom text message that you would like to print on the customer statement, and any message that you print and you save here automatically will show up on the footer of the AR customer statement. So this is kind of a flexibility that the system gives you to let you enter an optional message or any fixed text that will show up on the customer statement. Alright, so this is the main menu, and one last hint here, that there is an option to switch between showing the menu in groups versus in folders. So now if let us say I am in the transaction menu and the default display is showing the menu in folders. If I switch to show in groups, and let us see what will happen, the system here will display the icons in a different way. It will be grouped. In other words, for each module, it will show the related menu icons or menu options available under that module. So some people would rather see it in folders, and then they select the folder that they want to navigate to and then open that sub-menu only or that subfolder only. And other people, they would like to see everything on the screen. So if you choose show in groups, that's where all the icons will show up, just grouped by module. And this is again applicable to both transaction menu or output menu. You can toggle or you can switch between that option or that display as needed or as you want from that section. All right, so now we are gonna move on to the next section, which is ability to set up your favorites menu, and how to set up your favorites menu to include the icons that you frequently use. So this is actually one of the nice features in Aria XP, and most of the users who use Aria, they would usually utilize that feature. The whole idea is, instead of you having to navigate through the main menu and to locate the icon or the options that you want to use, we give you the flexibility to add a copy or a shortcut of that icon to the favorites, and then you'll be able to use it frequently by going to view favorites. So how to do that? You simply need to highlight the menu item that you would like to use or to add to your favorite. Without opening it, just highlight the icon and then click on Add to Favorites. The Favorites menu would show up. You have furthermore the ability to rename or to give that menu option the name that you would like to see on the screen. So it's not only lets you add the icon to the favorite, but also it allows you to rename the menu item the way that you want, the way you want it to show up on the screen. Once you click OK, what will happen that the system will copy this shortcut and add it under View Favorites. So now I can see the style screen as a shortcut. So let me repeat the same thing again. I'm going to go to Master Data. Let us say I want to use or I want to add the customer file to my day-to-day usage or my favorite shortcut. So I'm going to highlight it, click Add to Favorite. And if I want, I can rename it to any other name that will show up on the screen. So on and so forth. Any menu item that you would like to add, you just highlight it, Add to Favorites, give it a name, and click OK. Once you, in the day-to-day use, once you click View Favorites, that's where all your icons that you added as a shortcut will show up. So you do not actually need in that case to go and try to remember or memorize where that icon is located. You simply need to go to View Favorites, and that will show you all the icons that you added as a shortcut in the Favorites menu. Okay, furthermore, related to the Favorites menu, there is ability to organize favorites. So organizing favorite is simply giving you the ability to create subfolders, to rename or change any of the existing favorite icons, and furthermore to move them or to organize them in subfolders as you would like. So if let us say here I'm gonna create a new folder. So once you click create a new folder, the system will let you decide the name. So I'm gonna call it let's say reports. So this will be a folder. Let's say I want to rename that folder that I created before. I'm gonna call it master files. So any name you give the system will create those folders under the favorites, and furthermore you can group or you can create your own menu by moving the menu items that you have added as a shortcuts to one of these folders. So I can highlight the customer master, click move to folder, and then I'll choose master files. Same way I can highlight the style screen, move to folder, and move it to master files. So this way you organize your favorite. Once you are done, the system will actually add the shortcuts that you entered in your favorite under the proper subfolder. This way it's nice and clean and it's organized, so you don't have to try to locate the item that you'd like to use among different items. It will be easy for you to group them simply by subfolders. Alright, so this is how to use the favorites menu and how to organize it in groups or subfolders, how to rename an icon if need to, if you want to call it or to rename it to the way that you would like to see on the screen. So let's move on to the following slide or the following section. So in the previous section we discussed, just as a recap, we discussed what's the favorite menu, how to add menu item to your favorites, how to view your favorites item, how to organize your favorites into subfolders and groups, how to rename or move items from your favorites, and how to delete an item in your favorite. Maybe just to show you that part, we skip that item. If let's say I am still in the organized favorite, and I want to get rid or remove any menu item, you simply highlight it and you click delete, confirm, and then the system will get rid or will remove that icon from the favorites folder. So this is very powerful tool, and even many of the existing users who are unaware of this feature or they don't use it, so it might be a good feature to utilize, and it makes your work much more easier to locate the needed icon quickly. Now we'll move to the next section in this training session, which is about the standard toolbar functionality in Aria screens and forms. So I'm gonna start, I'll take for example the customer master screen to discuss the general or the different toolbar icons. So if I am in the customer master, the toolbar over here will be typically the same in any other screen in Aria. So it would be the same in the style screen, in the sales order screen, or in any other screen or form within the system. So the first icon that you will use frequently is the search for a specific record. That icon, the magnifying lens, this icon lets you browse the entire database and search for any existing record. So as you can see, it opened up the customer master list, and here you can simply either type in your customer account code if you know it. Once you type in, the system will locate that customer code for you, or you can furthermore use advanced search feature like to sort the list by any of these parameters, by phone, by customer name, or otherwise by a specific user-defined sorting. So if let's say I don't recall the customer code and I want to rearrange the list by name, so I simply need to sort by name. Then if I go here, click on the binocular, which is called incremental search using the selected sort, this option will let me search by whatever variable I used to sort the list. So let's say I want to search for the customer called Conway. So I'm going to type that in. Once you press enter, the system will locate the record using the customer name rather than the customer code. So again, I'm going to repeat that. The trick is you have to sort first by the required column header or the required variable. Let's say I want to sort it by customer name. Then using the incremental search function, you can search for the required account name, even if you don't know the account code. So that will take you to the related record in the database. Alright, so this is one of the key features that you usually will use in any screen in the system, whatever it's the style screen, the customer screen, and so on, is to search and locate for existing records by any of the columns, actually, by the name, by the account code, by the, even if you want, you can furthermore, you can choose to have a user-defined sort option, and here you can choose to sort the list by any of the fields in the database. So you can sort it by the address, you can sort it by the customer type, by any of the fields virtually that are available in the customer master. So let's say I want to sort it by phone number 1 or phone number 2. Then the system, once you click OK, it will rearrange the entire list by the telephone number. Okay, so this is the browse or the search for a specific record function. This is the most common icon or functionality in the toolbar. Now I'm gonna take the icons from left to right. So here the previous record and next record icons, those are to navigate through the database without closing out of the screen. So as you can see, if I click previous record, that will just take me to the previous account in list or to the next account in list, and that makes it easier. Instead I have to go out and reopen the screen or reselect a new record. I simply need to navigate to the next record in the database. You can also go to the very first record in the file by clicking the double arrow, the double green arrow. That will take you to the first record in the database, or you can go to the last record. If you click the double arrows to the right, that will take you to the last account in the database. Next icon, which is adding a new record, and this is like a blank page, a white paper or a blank page icon. And there is one important hint here. This icon is only activated if you are in the transaction file. It's not activated in master data. So this is very important hint, because some users get confused. In the master data they want to add a customer and they try to use this icon and it doesn't work. So actually anything that belongs to master data, either it's a customer, file, a style, SKU, anything like that, we do not use the new icon. We simply start by typing in the code. And by typing in the code, pressing enter, that's how we initiate a new record. So in short, the add new record icon is applicable only if you are in the transaction menu, adding something like sales order or invoices. The next icon in the toolbar is select a new record, which looks like a folder, an open yellow folder, that small folder. And this simply it refreshes the screen and it lets you select a new record. So if you are in one customer and you want to navigate to another customer, so you simply click on that and you will be able to redo the search and locate your other customer that you would like to select. Next icon is editing the current record, and as you roll over the mouse on any icon, as you see, it gives you a tip or a hint about what this icon is doing, the function of this icon. So as many of you already noticed, you cannot edit any data in any screen in Aria until you click the edit button or edit the current record. So as of now, I am opening GCP 10 account. I cannot edit anything in the screen. If I try to edit or modify any data, I cannot. I have to click edit the current record first to be able to open that database record, and then I will be able to do any changes or overwrite it with any information that I need. So once I am in the edit mode, once I click edit current record, then I can add any information or revise any information by simply typing in the data that is needed. Once you are done with editing, the floppy disk will be activated, which is saving the modification. So same way, Aria form or any Aria screen does not save the form automatically. It gives you the ability to revise data, and just in case if needed, you can undo the changes or you can decide to save it. So if you noticed, when I click edit, the floppy disk icon gets activated, meaning that now I am in the edit mode. Any revisions I'm gonna do, it will take place once I click the floppy disk to save the modification. Next function or next icon is delete current record, and this is available also depending on the screen or depending on the menu option I am in. So if you are in a style or in a customer, of course there will be some validations before the system delete a record. So however, the icon will be there and it would let you confirm if you would like to cancel or remove the current record. If you confirm and this record is not used or is not actively used in any place in the database, the system would let you confirm and click to delete. Next icon, it's not a functionality, it's a utility or something like user can see the activity list for him or for he or she. So the user activity list is simply like a to-do list. Each user logged into the system, They can keep track of their appointments and calls, whatever they want to keep track of during the day. So it's kind of a utility that you can integrate with the regular Aria functionality to add appointments or to-do list within the system or from Aria screen toolbar. Okay, the other two icons I think are self-explanatory, calendar and calculator. This is also a utility, so it just simply opens up your calendar and it connects to Outlook as well. If you have a Microsoft Outlook profile open, then the system can integrate with that by linking to the Microsoft Outlook calendar if need to. Calculator is just a calculator. User-defined field. This option might be grayed out or might be disabled in some cases, and it's by default it's not used. The way it works that if your database have some customized user-defined field, then this icon would let you inquire those fields and edit the information for such fields. And this is, again, it's not a system default setup. By default, the system comes with no user-defined field setup. It's by request, so if your company requested any custom user-defined fields, we can help you add those into the screen, whatever it's the customer database, the style database, and this is the icon that you will use going forward to edit or inquire the user-defined field. Next icon is the notes, and this is simply a free notepad. You can add your free text notes. You can put notes about the customer credit, about the meeting with the customers, any free text memos that you would like to add to your customer record, your style record, and so on and so forth can be entered here, and it stamps the current date so you can know what was the date of this memo or of this note that you added to the customer. So this is unlimited free text, can be used for keep track of appointment or results of conversation with customers, special instructions, credit, notes, follow-up, and so on. Next icon in the toolbar, which is the audit trail. And the audit trail is a function that is automatically updated by the system to keep track of the revisions or the actions taken on that database record. So if you are here in the customer screen, the system will tell you when was that record updated and what was the date and time and the user ID who updated that record. So it stamps the user ID and it stamps the date and time with the update action taken on that record. So that's actually could be helpful, especially in the transaction files, like if you are in a sales order or an invoice and you'd like to see who edited the order. So the audit trail function would be beneficial in that case to let you know or to keep track of the modifications on that record. Set profile, it's one of the advanced options or one of the advanced features we have added recently. And this also would require some preliminary setup in the codes master. Maybe it's not in the scope of that session today, but just to let you know in general how it works, you can add what we call it customer or style profiles to your codes master file, and then you will be able to link or add those profiles to the customer screen and update the values for these profiles from that section. So here examples could be unlimited. You can add a profile for instance, for customer sample requirement, for packaging, for approval required. So all these are user defined and you are capable to add them from the codes master. Again, this will be discussed in a great details within the sales order module. But the idea here that you can add a profile to your customer screen, and from that section you can choose what profile you would like to link to that customer, and furthermore you will be able to choose the data or the value of that profile. You can add furthermore another information to the drop down as you would like to. So actually here it lets you add a profile on the fly. So if you'd like to add another new profile in that section, you can click here and it opens up the list of profiles, and you can add them to that customer. So this is the profile functionality, and it's available now on the style screen and on the customer screen to be able to set a profile value. And the profile value is a user defined. You can choose what the name of the profile and what the value that you'd like to use to list the information or to indicate what other information that doesn't exist in the standard Aria screen. Next icon, which is also probably a recent feature that has been done recently, that you can show the task pane. If you click on that, the system will open up this left panel, and this is simply to link to other transactions related to the current customer. So if I'm inquiring JCPenney as an account, directly I can go from the task pane, I can go to the related sales orders, the related invoices, RA, return authorization, credit memo, and so on and so forth. At any time you can close this task pane, because as you see it makes the screen a little smaller. So if you want to get rid of it, you can cancel or you can close at any time, and it would be still allowed to retrieve that task panel or that task pane from the toolbar by clicking on that icon again. Okay, next function or next icon in the toolbar is the image link, or actually we call it object link as a more applicable naming. The image link, it lets you assign a file or attach a file, especially a graphic file like a picture file. You can attach that to the customer file, to the style file, or any other screen within the system. So when you open up the object link, it will let you search from within your regular Windows Explorer. You can search for all the files that with type pictures like JPEG or bitmap, and you can choose one of these pictures and you can attach it to your either customer screen or style screen and so on. So once you click OK to add the picture, the system will take a copy of that picture and add it as an object or as an attachment to that record. So this could be also used in different way. You can add a picture of whatever, the customer logo, for instance, a picture of the style packaging requirement that the customer would like, a sample of the label or the ticketing required for the customer, and things like that. So this is, you can utilize it as you would like, and you can attach whatever picture or whatever file that you want to add to the current customer master, style master, and so on. Some of the functionality will not be actually global for the entire system. It would be specific to that screen. So I'm gonna skip those icons. These icons from here on, it's pertaining to the customer master. So it's not the current session scope. It's actually will be covered within the accounts receivable functionality. So just to let you know, the icons that we discussed before, all these are typically standard icons and functionality available in any screen in Aria, no matter if it's the customer, the style, the sales order. From here up to the end, this is actually specific to the customer screen, so I'm gonna skip those for later. The last icon, which is shared or used for any toolbar, is the red icon over here, close the current form. And this is doing exactly the same like the X icon on the top right hand corner. It just closes the current screen and takes you back to the main menu. All right, so as I mentioned, this toolbar, you will notice it's used across the system. So if I open the style screen, you will notice that the same menu icon, or sorry, the same toolbar icon will be available. The only difference that it will open up the relevant database table instead. So here it opens up the style master database instead of the customer master. However, applying the same concept that we discussed, you can choose to sort by different variables on that table. Like here you can sort by style code, you can sort by style group, or by user defined field, and based on the sorting that you will choose, let's say sort by style description. Once you okay, the same like what we did for the customer master, you can go to the style description and start typing in the name of the style that you would like to see, and the system will take you to that record directly without knowing, even if you don't know the style code. So this is same function as I discussed it in the customer master. Everything else here in the toolbar would be typically the same. So so let us see what we have next on the presentation. So these are all the toolbar. The handout, the PDF file that was sent to you will have a brief explanation of this as well, just for you to keep as a reference. So you can refer to that document if you forgot something, or if you need to refer to any icon, what does it do exactly. Alright, so let me so now, as a recap, what we discussed in that section is the standard Aria toolbar icons and their function, how to navigate to the previous, next, and first and last record in the database, how to search for an existing record. As I showed you, you can search by numerous options, by the code, by the description, by any sort actually you can virtually use. How to add a new record, how to edit or revise the current record, how to view or edit the notepad, and how to link objects or picture files to the existing record. So now we are going to move to the last section in this session, which is about the report toolbars functionality, the standard reports toolbar functions in Aria XP. So I'm going back to the Aria interface. As we mentioned in the beginning of the system, any forms, printed forms or reports are available under the output section or the output main menu. So if, let us say, I'm going to take one report as an example, and the same toolbar applied or used in that report would be applicable to any other report. So if, let us say, I'm in the output sales order confirmation form or report, the toolbar over here would be the same in any other reports. So I'm going to explain to you each function in the report toolbar, what does it do and how to use it. First icon is reset the default setting, and the idea of that, or what does it do, is simply reverting back to the criteria or to the general criteria of that report. So this is your filter criteria. If, let us say, you selected anything and you would like to undo it, let us say I selected any filter criteria like a specific order, a specific sales order status, and so on, but then I changed my mind, I want to clear this criteria. What you simply can do, you can click reset to default settings, and that will undo any selection that you have done before in the criteria and will revert back to the original default setting. So you can reselect the parameters that you want to search by. So that's reset to default setting. The next icon, which is save user settings, it looks like a floppy disk. This will let you save a specific criteria that is usually recurring, or you would like to utilize it in the future. it will let you, the system will let you save those as a user setting. This way you can retrieve those criteria at any time later on. So example, here I am in the sales order confirmation. I would like to filter or search only for open order status or hold status. I would like to print orders. I would like to sort it always by line number instead of by style number. So I choose my selection criteria, or what we call it in Aria, the report option grid, no matter what options I have. Let's say I want to add optional message to print in the report footer. So I'm going to add all these parameters or these different selections. And after I'm done, I'm going to click Save User Settings. System will ask you to give this user settings an ID. So I'm going to give it, it's usually 2 or 3 letters. I'm going to give it a description or a name. And furthermore, you can check one of these options, set as a default criteria or accessible by other users. You can actually, if you want, if you are sure that this criteria it will be used every time, so you can set that as a default. However, for accessible by other user, it's not recommended unless if you are sure that this criteria is not gonna confuse the other users who are using the system within your company. So in other words, it asks you either or not you'd like to share that setting with other people to use the same criteria that you are selecting. So if I check set as a default and save, so now what will happen that the system will add this set of criteria or this selection user setting. It will be added to that drop down so you can select it without redoing everything, all the parameters that you selected here. Even if you close the system, you logged out and you came back on next day or whatever the next time, the system would still be memorizing the setting, and it will let you simply retrieve that settings that you saved previously, and it will automatically retrieve all the parameters that we have saved from the last time. General considerations here, usually as a best practice, do not save something that might be changed. For instance, if you are printing a one order at this time, do not select that and save it as a pre-setting criteria, because simply what will happen the next time you will come back and retrieve that criteria, it would still memorizing that specific order that you selected. So in general, what you can save or what we recommend you to save are the options that are really repetitive, like you need to print every time orders with a certain status or orders with a certain optional message to show up in the footer. So all these parameters that are you think it will be repetitive for the future usage, those are the one you can save. The others like would vary from time to time, or every time you print the report you are sure it will change, then there is no need to save those and just simply select them from the criteria. Next icon in the toolbar of the reports is delete user settings. So as we did, if you selected a user setting and you would like to remove it, for any reason you discover that this is the wrong criteria or you want to redo it over again, you simply select it from the drop down and click delete. The system will revert now to the default setting, and it will let you create or rebuild your user settings for that report again. Next icon is print selection criteria, and this is an on-off button. So you will notice you can click it one time, it will be highlighted, or you can click it again, it will be disabled. What does this option do? This option is simply printing the filter criteria that you selected. It will print it in the first page before printing the actual report. So here, if you want to refer to this criteria that you selected, the orders with the status open or hold, I selected orders type, not contract. I selected to print the notepad and so on. All these filters that you choose from here, it will be printed in the beginning, in the first page of the report. So before running the actual report, you can see the criteria that you select. And again, by default, this is not checked. So if you want to see the filters that you selected before printing the report, then you have to check on or to click on that icon first. Next option is usually disabled, which is the view mode, either graphics or text. Most of the current Aria XP reports are available in one view mode, which is the graphic report. However, rarely, in some rare cases, you might need to print in text format if you use like a dot matrix printer, or you use the old method of printing via DOS. So in that case, if that report supporting the text mode, you can switch it from here. But again, if it's grayed out, meaning that that report comes only in graphic mode. The next three icons in the list are very important, and those are the output method of any report in Aria. So you will see those three icons as well in any report: print, export, and print preview. So as it appears from the name or the icon, print is simply to print a hard copy of the report and send it to the printer after you specify your criteria. Of course, when you do that, once you decide your filter criteria or your search criteria, when you click print, system will give you a selection of the printer icon that you would like to use, and then you can send it to your local or network printer. So this is what usually will show up. It will open up your default printer as a default, and you can navigate to any other printer that you'd like to print. So this is straightforward. Next option is export the report, which is like a green icon, a green arrow. Export report can have more advanced output format, like exporting the report to a PDF or to an Excel sheet. So depending on the format of the output report, the system would allow you to print the form or the report in the required file format. And as you can see, in some cases you might need to save a copy of the report as a PDF electronic document or as an Excel file to share it with someone, or to save it to send it to someone. So here, let me just select a couple of transactions. So yeah, if I go to export the report, and let me see, I want to export it as a PDF file. You can furthermore either preview directly to see the report in the selected output format, or you can choose the path where you want to save the file. So you can open up the browse list and you can choose to save that file on whatever the folder and drive that you would like to share it or to save it on. So you give the file a name, and the type here would be PDF since we selected Adobe Acrobat. And finally click export. And then once the process is finished, the system will save a copy of the file or a copy of that report as a PDF file to the desired location. So once you get this prompt, that means that the file is now ready to view, and now it will simply open it in Adobe Acrobat Reader, and you can, whatever Adobe Acrobat offers or whatever the Excel offers, you can use it to navigate or to manipulate that file if needed. So you can save it, you can print it from Adobe Acrobat, and so on. Same goes for Excel. So if I choose to export the file to Excel, and we do have two different Excel versions supported. I think the XLS is the old Excel format. I think it's Office 2003, or the new Excel format. Both of them are both supported. Same thing, you can choose to export the file to a certain folder, or you can preview directly to see the file directly in Excel format if you want to. Just one comment about the reports and the forms in general in Aria. Any form that have a graphical interface, like invoice form, sales order confirmation form, and so on, if you choose to export it to Excel, only the data or the line item information will show up, not the graphic interface. So if, in other words, if you want to retain the report graphic interface, it's better to export it to a PDF. However, if you would like to use the data only that included in that report, then this is when you can export the information to Excel. Next, since I think we are running a bit out of time, short of time, the next function is print preview. So this is just to see the form or the report on the screen. And this is usually recommended. Usually before you print something, you'd like to see it on the screen. So you make sure that, that this is the report that you want and so on. So let me just refresh it. So I'm gonna go again, select my transaction, all the criteria as needed, and then print preview. So now the system will just show the report selected or the form selected on the screen, and then you still have the option to confirm if you'd like to print it. You still can print it from within the print preview. So it's similar to like Word document and Excel. You can see it on the screen first. If you are sure that this is the correct number of pages and the correct report that you would like to see, then you can send it to the printer. So now the final or the last icon we'll discuss today in the report toolbar is mail recipient as attachment, which looks like an envelope and attachment. This function is really also could enhance your day-to-day work if you want to send like invoice file or invoice forms or order form to a customer or to one of your contacts. So you can use that feature by simply clicking on that function, and then the system will let you choose the output format that you want to attach it, either PDF or Excel format, and finally you can choose who you want to send it to. So if I click the to button, you can choose the contact type furthermore that you would like to use as your distribution email list. It could be a customer, a vendor, or a personal contact. So if you choose customer, the system will let you select a customer code from the customer master. And again, we will see the functionality of the customer master within the related session for the sales order and the AR. So here, if I select the customer code, the system will retrieve the contacts list related to that customer, and you can simply select one of the contacts, click OK, and the system will retrieve the email address associated with that contact. Same goes for CC. You can add a CC or BCC for the contact or for the email address to be used as a recipient for that email. And finally, once you are done, you click send, and the system here will do two things. Will generate the report as an attachment, will create an email with that subject, which is usually your company name. So here it's the sample data company. It will be replaced by your company name, the report or the form name, and the generated on certain date, generated on today's date. Once you click send, the system will collect the information and send it by email to your recipients based on the contact selected over here. There is one prerequisite needed for that function to work. So if anyone later on is interested to use this function, there would be some setup parameters need to address or identify your email server to Aria. So you can, if you would like to get help with that, you can submit a help desk ticket to our technical support, and they can help you set up or configure your email server to properly use the email attachment function. It simply requires like a sender ID, a password, and your email server name. So all this information, once you provide them, our tech support can set up the mail server on our end, and then you should be able to use the send email or send reports by email functions to any of your contact list. Alright, so I guess we covered all the standard toolbar feature for the reports and for the regular screen. So I'm gonna now I'm just gonna scan the slides to make sure we covered everything. Alright, so we discussed the standard Aria report toolbar icons, how to save the current report settings or criteria, how to delete a current report setting criteria, how to select a pre-saved report settings, how to change the display mode, graphics versus text, how to export the report to a different output file like Excel format or PDF format, and finally how to email the report as an attachment to one of your contacts list saved on the customer, on the vendor, or on your personal contact list. Alright, so I think I'm gonna open, I'll unmute the microphone if anyone would like to discuss or to ask for anything. Okay. All right, so does anyone have any question? Now it's time for questions and answers. If anyone have a question, please feel free to present yourself and ask the required question.
Oh, hi, Al. So this is Elizabeth from Gaylord. I have a question.
Hi.
On the import, I noticed that you gave Evan a PO number 600001. We are going to be using that feature. Can you run that by me again? Like, how do I use that if I want to use the import feature and email our customers or sales reps their invoice copies and so on?
Yeah, Elizabeth, the email feature, as I discussed in today's training, this is available in any report or form in Aria. But if you are talking specifically about the functionality of the PO module, I think we'll have to arrange a special training for that purpose to show you how to use the import module. It's not in the scope of today's session. Today's session is just an introduction for the people who are new to Aria and who wants to know the general functions in the Aria.
General functions, okay.
Yeah, but
okay, so I guess I just, sorry?
No, go ahead.
I guess I have to call in and tell them where you want to use the import feature. Is that correct?
Exactly, yeah. And then we can organize a one-on-one training session to show you the import feature and how to use it.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome, Elizabeth. All right, everyone. If anyone else has any questions about the basic orientation features that we discussed, how to navigate, how to use the toolbar, and so on, please feel free to bring your question. All right, good. So I guess no one have any more questions. So thank you everyone for listening and have a good day.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
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 Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.